Hello, welcome back. My name's Kyle, I'm the Bleeping Mechanic. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're working again on the F-150. Let's talk about it. So we're here inside the F-150, and we just got back from a few-day trip of riding the side-by-side and some toys up north. And when I was up there, I was coming out of a parking spot and I had a really loud shift, really hard shift, going from reverse into drive. And I didn't think much about it, was able to drive just fine away from it. I was like, oh man, maybe it's just was rolling downhill or something like that. Next time we stopped in the town, we were at a store, and I tried to go in reverse, and I noticed the reverse wasn't showing up on the display. What you have is you have the P, R, and D 2 and 1 on here for the park, reverse, neutral, drive, 2 and 1 gear. And it turns orange depending on the selector you turn on. And as you pull it down, it moves along. Now, on the older trucks, it was actually a physical, like, orange flag that moved and highlighted those areas. On the new trucks, when it's moved in those gears, the light turns on behind it. So what happened was it wasn't turning on. I was trying to move it up and down. Eventually, it did get into reverse. But then I had an orange wrench show up on the screen. Now, that orange wrench happened, and it didn't go in reverse anymore. I was able to go in and drive and start driving away. Check engine light came on. When I was up there, I wasn't able to do much with it. Got back to camp, pulled the battery, and let it reset. The next day was at the gas station. Same thing, backing out. Things went right in reverse. Had no thought about it. Got to a certain point, push it down the foot brake, go into drive, and it was a real hard click and drive again. And then thought I might have hit something, got out and looked. Wasn't that. It was the same thing again. What happened was the next time I went to stop and put in reverse at the parking spot, it wouldn't go in reverse. The service light little wrench came on again, and then the truck actually clicked and went in reverse, but there was never that indicator. Also, it looked like my 2 and 1 stopped working, and then the whole time I had check engine light on. So I'm going to show you real quick what's going on and explain what I think it is and what we're going to end up doing. So here we are. So let's go ahead and start the vehicle. So as you can see, there's all those indicators I was talking about. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go apply the brake, go into reverse. Not in reverse, nothing's happening. There's that wrench gear. And as you can see, I'm actually in drive right now. I'm actually in drive, and it doesn't really drive very well. Going to neutral, going to reverse, it slams reverse. So I'm not gonna screw around with that. So I'm gonna turn it off, turn it back on. Park indicators there. I can go right into drive, I can go into neutral, I can go into not manual, but yeah. So what I believe we got going on is what's called a bad lead frame. And that lead frame is actually the electronic system that tells the solenoids to fire and change gear and everything based off of speed as well as position of the gear selector. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna head and tackle that. And I'm gonna get this vehicle in the garage all the way enough that I can work on it and hopefully get in a good enough spot because it doesn't like going in reverse. So we're gonna head and put this vehicle in place and we're gonna start tackling that. So we went ahead and got the truck lifted up off the ground a little further, give me a little more space. Jacked it up maybe another 6 or 7 more inches, got the jack stands underneath there, front and back, so this way the whole vehicle is sitting a little higher. What we're trying to do is get a little more distance between the ground and the transmission pan because we're going to take the transmission pan off first. So went ahead and got it up high in air. The next step is actually to disconnect the battery. Just don't want nothing powering up while we're doing this. So going to go ahead and pop the hood and get that negative disconnected right now. We've got the battery disconnected. This way the vehicle is completely powered off. So the next thing we're gonna do is go underneath here and start working those trans bolts off. So we're underneath the truck. Here is our oil pan. We've got probably about 20 or so bolts that we have to undo around here. All of them are actually really easy to get to. This one here is slightly behind a transmission line. There's a couple that are nearby. Sides are good. And then right here underneath the exhaust cross member, there's a few that are a pain in the butt. So we'll use a swivel and get those out. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna start at this back. I recommend removing these and then working your way forward, get to a point, get your pan underneath here and then crack the system and then let it start draining out the bottom. So let's go ahead and start getting these bolts free. And now we're getting pretty close. We've got it most of the way up here. We're going to leave these last 2 rows. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. The back should start popping free and start dripping out some fluid. All right, after you break this one free a little bit, it should start wanting to come down a little bit and we should start being able to catch some fluid. Just like so. Woo-wee. Yes, sir. All right, one left, and we're going to guide this thing down slowly. There we go. Pan is now free. We're going to slide it out from the back side and then tilt the rest of it inside. There we go. That's good enough. So I'm going to take the pan, I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm just going to let this drip from this valve body for a bit. Your filter is just held in by rubber plugs, so just wiggle it and it should come out. And there's a rubber plug right here and you want to make sure it comes out with it. So now we can see our valve body. Before we can start unbolting this, there's a couple things we got to do. One is take the harness off the back side, and we're going to do that now while this is still dripping. All right, now we have to remove this bulkhead connector. This is the pin that connects to the transmission. We have to swing it counterclockwise a little bit, and it should pull out. That wasn't cool. Twisted and it broke off. Did it just break off? It looks like it just broke off. Well, looks like I might have to grab a new one of those. There's a little clip right here that we had to pull down. Got a little push tab you push in, and then you just pull down, and that's it. After that, we can now go around the back side here and remove this connector right here. Broke off. All right, so I had to go ahead and pop that pin down and slide out the whole bulk pass-through connector to get the bulkhead off, because this thing was all full of grit and it would not come off. I had to work it back and forth so I can get it back on. So I got a new O-ring kit that comes with this, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on, but I'm going to make sure to wipe this all down, make sure there's no more grit in there. But that was a pain in the ass. Now the pan bolts are out. We're going to go ahead and drop the valve body. And the bolts for these are slightly different than the ones that are bolting the valve body together. These ones are slightly larger. And I think there's about 12 of these that come out. An easy way to tell what they look like, if you can see here, wipe this down real quick, you've got small rounded head ones, and then you've got larger headed ones. The larger are the ones that you're going to be taking off. Those are the ones that are bolting the valve body to the actual transmission. The other thing you want to do right here, this is the slide that changes the gears when you change your gears here. And these are the indicators that tell you what gears you're in: park, reverse, neutral, drive, 1, 2. You want to make sure that the slide, the shift, I don't know what it's called, the arm with the pin is in that spot here, as well as on this slide, because this is actually what's going on, is this part here. So I've got a few of these already out, so let's finish taking the rest of them. Trying to find them. So I believe I have a couple more left here. Let's see, I see one here. Maybe two. Maybe one. All right, that might be our last one. Well, I think that was it, because we're getting a few more drips now. Yep, got one more. There we go. Now we're free. We're going to let this come down nice and gentle. There we go. And one thing that does come out is this, and this will go right back up into here, right there. So we'll have to make sure that that goes back up in there when we're done putting it back together. But I'm gonna get my pan back down here because it's dripping a lot. So here we've got the valve body out. Got that bypass valve that we have to put back in. This right here is the actual device that has failed. So this device has 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5, I think there might be a 6 in there somewhere, bolts that we're gonna have to take off to get this off. So here's the pan, and as you can see, it looks really good. There's very little debris. The magnet has just some on there, not bad at all. Trans fluid looks really good and clean. This is probably about 80,000 miles. I did a filter and fluid at about 150, and then I did fluid only because I had a bad trans line, so a bunch of trans fluid had to get replaced again at about 180. So this is pretty new fluid, but the filter was only done once, so now we're going to put a new filter and fluid back in this. But this pan looks really clean, and there's not a lot of material on there. But let's go ahead, let's get this unbolted. I'm going to tip this over and let some of this drain out into the pan real quick. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and just tilt this on the side and unbolt the 6 bolts that are holding this in here. Now this looks to be using the smaller 27s, so I'll have to grab that. So here we're going to use the 27 millimeter to loosen up the bolts that are holding on the lead frame. There's another one right, nope, right here. And one at the bottom. Off of this. Oh, yep, I see one more right here. There we go. All right. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. All right. Just slowly work that off, straight out. There we go, just wiggle that off. Looks like one of my screws kind of started itself back on. There we go. Off with the old. There we go. Here's all our solenoids, and here's our old lead frame. Now the old one, the new ones come with a foam gasket that's going to line these to prevent shorting. So we're going to have to check out our new one and make sure everything looks right and matches up, because I don't see that foam sitting here. So let's go ahead and grab the new one now. So here, with the kit, is that new piece of foam that goes onto these connections like this. And that's the new design to help keep material, the fine particulate metal that builds up in here, from shorting out. And then here is our new lead frame. I'm just going to do a visual inspection. Make sure everything looks the exact same. Here's that shift selector. This is what moves around. That's part of the problem. Everything looks the exact same to me. Like I said, this is an OEM part, hopefully updated. Now when we put this back together, we do have to make sure that this little nub meshes up with the selector there. So let's go ahead and put the foam filter on. So we're going to go ahead and do that. That just goes on like so. There we go. So that foam is on there to help. And then we put it right back on the way it came off, making sure that this slide is going to line up. And I'll show you this as soon as I get this started. It's hard to see, but that little nub right there needs to fall in line with this. So we have our torque wrench set. We're just going to zip them in to start. All right, there you go. That is now tightened down. So right here is the seal that we're going to replace. We got a new one for that, so we're just going to gently pull this out. Like so. And we got a brand new one right here. Gonna go right in place. Like so. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead. I forgot I gotta take this off, but I don't have to do that at this exact moment. Let's go ahead and grab the lead frame and get that situated back up in here. Here's our two rubber seals. There's also two long rubber tubes that go here. All right, so we got it up in place. The new seal, it's rocking on the new seal a little bit, but I made sure it fits always snug. So now I'm just gonna get all these bolts started. And I'm just gonna do just kind of like a simple crisscross to make sure it's going up steady, kind of like you would on anything else. Now these go in at 71 inch-pounds. And we're going to go crisscross, starting from the inside, working our way out. And our pin is in place. All right, next we're going to put on the oil pan gasket. Actually, next we'll put that connector back together. So we just finished fighting the hell out of this connector and getting this thing pushed in. I had to grab my son to help out with it. Took quite a bit of pushing on there with a pry bar and pushing up on that. Eventually got it to snap in. Got the new filter plugged up in there right now. New pan, or the pan cleaned up, magnet cleaned up, and a new gasket. So we're going to go ahead and get this put up in here. Yeah, look at that. It's a lot better when the pan is going up in there in the right direction. Just going to line up some holes real quick. Grab a screw. And the same holes that we ended on are the ones I'm going to start on. There you go. Just get a couple of these started by hand. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and get these all quickly zipped in. All right, let's torque them down. We're doing them at 100 inch-pounds. It says 99, but 100 is easier to read. All right, so we got the dipstick cap off, which is just a 3/4, and then the dipstick itself comes out. And we're going to go ahead and use my trusty hand pump to pump in some ATF. Make sure this is sitting in there where it doesn't come out. All right, so we got the vehicle up to operating temperature. I know I had a little overfilled, so hopefully I don't get scolded. Let's check this level out. All right, cap is off. Dipstick is out. I'm not seeing much on there. I think we actually might have to add some more. It must have sucked up all of it. So there's a crosshatch on here for hot and cold. There's an A and a B. So let's see where we're at. We're not on a dipstick. Let's add some. All right, we're right in the middle of our two cross hatches. Perfect. Go ahead and close her up. All right, so we just finished topping off the fluid, made sure it was all up to the spec of full. On the dipstick, we're good there. So now here comes the real challenge, and is it gonna fix? So, vehicle running, currently in park. Let's see. Yeah, we got reverse. Neutral. Drive. And then manual, 2, 1. We got them all, boys. Heck yeah. Now we're back to on the road, back to work. All right, so that completes this video for this 2011 F-150 lead frame replacement on the transmission. Kind of a common problem. You'll find a lot of good videos out there. This is just gonna be another one because I did it and I'm gonna record it. So make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up and we'll see you on the next one. You guys have a great day.